Good morning and welcome back to Planet Althistory. Today we are going to discuss what if Paraguay won the War of the Triple Alliance. The War of the Triple Alliance, or the Paraguayan War, was fought from 1864 to 1870. It was fought between Paraguay on one side and Argentina, Brazil and Uruguay on the other side. The War of the Triple Alliance is one of the deadliest and bloodiest wars that happened between Latin American states. The president of Paraguay at the time, Francisco Solano Lopez, wanted to support the Blanco Party, or Partido Blanco in the Uruguayan War. He didn't want to gain the sea access for Paraguay in that moment, but his logic was that Argentina was working towards the annexation of Paraguay and Uruguay, hence why he accepted to support the Blanco Party, who made proposals of such an alliance. The problem, however, was that Uruguay was in the state of a civil war, and the side of the Blanco Party, lost the war. Moreover, Argentina considered Paraguay for many years a breakaway province, and as with other parts of the former Spanish Empire, some borders weren't that clear, especially in those years. Paraguay had overlapping disputes and claims with all of its neighbors. This was one of the reasons why Paraguay became overly militarized, and people in Paraguay also claimed that Paraguay in those years before the war had a very great, prosperous economy and was one of the richest countries in the Americas. Other sources state that Lopez wanted to indeed gain control over the neighboring areas and also access to the sea in order to protect the independence of Paraguay. Consequently, the War of the Triple Alliance can be seen as a byproduct of Spanish colonialism and also a continuation war of the Uruguayan War. President Lopez made huge efforts in order to win the war, but let's be honest here. Fighting a two-front or multiple-front war is never a smart idea, especially if your country is as small as Paraguay, and there aren't enough people living there. It should come to no surprise that Paraguay didn't only lose a high percentage of their male population, but they also lost many territories, their economy went down, and it took them many years to rebuild. Paraguay never really rebounded, and they became a forgotten country of South America. But what if all of that changed? What if Paraguay won the Triple Alliance War? Paraguay's strategy didn't sound bad at first. Paraguay thought that by controlling the rivers, the only real means of communication in those years, as there were no roads and no extensive railway networks, they would be able to win the war, or at least gain a considerable advantage. Another important point we can make is that the Argentinian troops were low in numbers and the Brazilian troops, they were too disorganized, especially after the Uruguayan War. The Paraguayan army was much bigger in number but badly equipped. The river, however, had fortifications, but ultimately it proved to be unuseful. So how do we change the outcome of the war? Let's just go ASB and claim that Lopez was a military genius a la Napoleon. Not only would he probably give his army during his rule better equipment, but the training would be better, the experience of the troops as well, and maybe he would order total mobilization as well, but focus on some key points of the country, not just the rivers, but also, for instance, the hills or dense forests. What I need would also be used between the soldiers so that the Argentinians and Brazilians wouldn't be able to understand the communication between Paraguayan troops. Some more ships would be needed as well. With that said, Lopez would still command his troops to take Corrientes, a border town in Argentina, and, this time around, he would need to gain the support of the local governor, and he would do so in this timeline. With the support of this governor, Lopez could continue his adventure further south. He would not give the order to attack Brazilian territories at first, and Paraguayan troops would instead take a defensive stance against Brazil, in the border on the Paraná River. The northern part of Paraguay would lightly be defended, but most of the troops would be used to take quickly parts of Argentina and to change the government of Uruguay. With that said, Lopez would not only get support of the local governor Justo José de Urquiza, but also connect after some time with forces of the Blanco and the Fusionist Party in Uruguay. Yes, the numbers by 1865 or 66 would be low, dwindling, but hey, you would have additionally manpower, and Argentina would need to be more divided than in OTL. Paraguay would need to concentrate their forces more on one offensive instead, and Brazil would probably make some advances in this timeline. In the following months and weeks, the Paraguayan troops would not lose the Battle of Riachuelo, which in OTL was the largest naval battle fought between the two South American countries. Due to the location, Corrientes, and the support of Justo José de Urquiza, Paraguay would beat the Brazilian navy. They would then make small advances in some parts of Brazil, and I believe that Brazil after some time would be ready to peace out with Paraguay. The costs of the war in OTL were 11 times higher than the state budget of Brazil. With a God General Lopez and more success in this alternate timeline, Brazil would probably spend more money, lose more men, more ships and equipments, and the monarchy would risk to lose their face. I can't really predict what could happen as a consequence after the peace, but let's be honest here, Brazil would face certainly political problems, and more so than in OTL. It is not out of reach that in this timeline the monarchy would just be kicked out much earlier on. Argentina in this timeline would be the real loser here. Not only would one province freely support and perhaps even join Paraguay, but other territories would be taken as well, and Paraguay would win access to the sea. Argentina would however have more identity building issues going on and lose even very valuable lands for agriculture and more. Paraguay would almost become a superpower by night, and if the love and admiration of Lopez wasn't already high enough in today's Paraguay, the Paraguay of that timeline would probably almost worship Lopez. Lopez would rule for some more years, and another potential conflict with Bolivia could arise, or Bolivia would just accept the claims of Paraguay in the Chaco region. With an access to the sea, some money from Argentina and Brazil, and a puppet state with Uruguay, Paraguay could grow much more than in OTL. A lot of immigrants, they would choose Paraguay as the destination. Paraguay would still have a higher population than in OTL, but with the conquest of new territories, the status of Guarani may change, and Paraguay may become a more Spanish-speaking country, but with still very large pockets of native speakers of Guarani. So the situation would be a bit similar to, let's say, Peru or Bolivia, where many people still speak Quechua or Aymara. The economy would do remarkably well at first, and I think Paraguay could also diversify their economy and even achieve a high standard of life. During the two world wars, I don't think that Paraguay would fight directly against another country. The only slim possibility I could see is that maybe Brazil could declare war on Paraguay, or perhaps Argentina too, but at that point, Paraguay would have a lot of US, British, French or German interests going on, that some kind of foreign intervention in favor of Paraguay would happen. And also with the economy backing the military, it would be very difficult to change something in Paraguay to beat them. With the good lands northern Argentina in the hands of Paraguay, Britain would almost certainly support Paraguay, and the US too wouldn't like to see a mess in their backyards. Argentina may be able to join the Central Powers or even the Axis powers in one of the world wars if they would be able to have an identity and to actually connect all the provinces that they have. While Brazil may be a little bit more difficult to achieve though, as they would still have a lot of internal issues. In an alternate 2022, Paraguay's economy would be one of the best, if not the best, of Latin America, and the country would be more diverse than in OTL, with a strong influence of Guarani, a relatively diversified economy, and opportunities in the Chaco region for people who would need a lot of land. But Paraguay would still remain in majority a Spanish-speaking country, and it is very likely that some political instability could occur because we are in Latin America after all. Argentina would have no chances whatsoever to become a first world country, while Brazil's path would be very unknown for me. Lopez would be considered the father of Paraguay, and he would be grouped in together with Napoleon, Genghis Khan and Caesar. And that's where we leave it for now. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. Be sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment, support me also on Patreon, and join my forum, forum.planetalthistory.ga. Until next time on Planet Alt History.